valuable note first, I'd like to thank the NIQR team. It's quite forward thinking to bring the group together. What would you like to hear about? Would you like to hear about how to get out of trouble? Would you like to hear how bad the trouble is? Would you like to hear how further down the hole we might go? Would you like to hear about the future? What would you like to hear about? Perhaps a few comments. The purpose of the next hour is to have an interactive discussion to make sure the best of your views are taken into account, the best views of various people from the panel, from the banking sector, from the technology and analytics sector, from people deep in the automotive parts, whether it's an OEM, whether it's exporters, whether it's folks who do it just like you, sitting here, share their views. So the purpose is to have everybody else speak and to also hear your views. So to set the context, India is roughly a 2-point-something trillion dollar economy, depending on who you speak to. Clearly, it's going to a $10 trillion economy in the next 11 to 12 years. Whether we miss that by $1 trillion here or there, the reality is we're going to multiply ourselves by 4. In some cases, it might even be 5. Maybe that's more automotive vehicles on the road. Maybe it is the evolution from what we see today, which is primarily a mechanical with some electronics, to a more electronics with some mechanical participant in the ecosystem. The focus on how much of the future we will see in India with having to navigate past a bullock cart or a road that's not very well built. Do you really see Indians with the threat of the Ubers and the Olas of this world buying that many more cars? Hopefully some of the panel members will have views on that. But the scene is set. You are going from a $2 trillion economy to a $10 trillion economy, which means that the world as you look at it is very different to what you sit in the North America or what you see in most parts of Europe or what you may even see in parts of the Middle East, because India is one of those few bright spots that is growing and growing well. We may have hiccups like we're currently having, and therefore for those of us who are currently in seeing the trough, we're seeing sales slow down, we're seeing orders drop, we're seeing orders not coming in. Hopefully the perspective you'll see is this is a temporal moment in time, but like all Indians, when we get to a temporal moment in time of doom, we think it's doom, gloom for a long time. So for some of us it may be structurally a little bit of a tough day, but we still hope that we have great perspectives both from on the panel as well as off the panel on how to come out of that. For some of you, capital might be a challenge, so we'll talk a little bit about capital, we'll talk a little bit about the future, and those are some of the things we hope we will cover in addition to your basic question, how do you get out of the tunnel? So let's start with the simple thing. Are we in a crisis in this sector? Yes or no? Are we in a crisis?
I won't say it is a crisis. It's more of a perception. It's kind of a changing time. Maybe it's a time for us to move forward and invest ourselves for the future. Maybe I won't call it as a crisis, but there are difficulties.
When we say crisis, we need to define what crisis is. Okay, okay. But certainly from the commercial vehicle industry, I can say we are going through a difficult times for 2 reasons. One is because of the GST, which the government introduced last year, and this is nothing new for India, okay, new for the world. Whichever country introduced GST or the common tax, next year the GST falls, the GDP falls. Okay, that is one reason. Second reason is the axle load increase. Suddenly there is a, without even one truck being sold extra, there is a capacity increase of 20%. So there is no need for buying the trucks. So we are going through the difficult times. Okay.
I should say this is opportunity time for the future growth, because the graph is coming down, the GDP is coming down from 8 to coming down, and 5. Maybe this quarter is still down, but there is nowhere to go down. So it's an opportunity time for us to prepare ourselves for the future. Because if you want to be, I just want to give an example before we go to that. Like in a tennis match, you hit and then you have a game, and every game there is a pass. You go and take some rest, take some water, and then go to the next game. So it's a pass that we are passing through to have some rest and then go back and see the opportunity. So there is a lot of fat in our companies. There's a lot of muda in our companies. What we are doing from last 4 or 5 months is to go back to the Gemba and see where is the fat.
I'd like to comment on that the crisis or not. So I can't say that it's a crisis. We lived through that in Michigan in 2009 when this suddenly, things went downhill. What we are probably seeing in India today or in South Asia is a demand compression. So the demand has fallen off, but interestingly, demand has not fallen off in all sectors. So, passenger cars, commercial vehicles, and certain other vehicle categories are hit hard. I'm talking purely from automotive. My experience is only automotive. But if you see, two-wheelers are not fallen that much. And tractors are not fallen that much. And hopefully tractors probably will have some upswing with the good monsoon and all that. So demand compression, if you look at the reasons, like it was in US at that time also, it's not entirely based on economy or the availability of credit or money, as many people are probably doing a very simplistic analysis of that. There are certain non-fiscal measures, there are some structural changes which are also happening, which is probably being led in different regulation changes which are happening in the country. So we can probably get into more as we discuss, as we proceed in the panel. But yes, so there is a demand compression. And now our experience is, I can share with my experience, demand compression is tough on people, it's painful, but also it brings very good opportunities for consolidation, for restructuring, and for acquisition of new avenues of business. So it has to be seen both ways. So some people will come out of it in the demand compression phase and they will grow at a very, very fast rate. They will consolidate, they will acquire, they will get into new businesses, new customers. And some people probably, some companies would merge into other companies which are weaker or maybe go out of business. But I think it follows a natural.
Chances here, it is a down cycle relative to last year, which means that you have to think a little bit differently or a lot differently. But relative to 3 years ago, it's perhaps not as bad, right? In fact, it's better. And keep this in mind because 3 years ago we weren't in a down cycle, right? So our human expectation has picked up. So I'd like to take a little bit of a different stack and maybe Gopi, because you see a little bit more of the world in auto as well as beyond auto outside India. If you could share with us how is auto viewed outside India? Is it going through down cycles, one? And number two is which are the sectors you see clearly not doing down cycles, because some of the folks here are also from other manufacturing and engineering organizations, that perhaps this is a chance to serve more than just auto.
There are three big trends that we see in the automobile industry which is affecting everybody across the globe. One is ride sharing, which is your Uber or Ola or its equivalent, and along with it is the youngsters globally are not very, they don't like the idea of the biofuel and traditional cars, right? So this is one trend, which is ride sharing and less usage of cars. The second one is autonomous vehicles, which is again picking up in some parts, and it's not yet a big mainstream thing, but it's picking up significantly. And the third is, of course, the electric vehicles. So these three are affecting all automobile companies across the globe. And we see, as an analytics service provider, the big thing that we see is the traditional companies do not have data about their own customers. And people are looking at India as a place for the growth to take place. So it's When we see, I mean, to put it in context, when we see a 5% GDP growth rate, yes, it is low by Indian standards, but it's way higher than anything that you see outside, right? I mean, we are probably still the #1 country in terms of GDP growth rate. So I just wanted to give that context, saying that building on Raju's point of getting fit and looking ahead into the future and investing and making sure as you come out of this that you have the right skill sets to deal with the automobile future, because the past is not going to help us too much. I mean, that's the reality. So, you know, we need to get smarter, and we need to be able to figure out how can we support autonomous cars, how can we support electric vehicles, and how can we be part of the ride-sharing ecosystem, right? And those are questions that you want to probably ask yourself today when things are not going that great, so that I'm fairly confident it will come back. As you head towards a $10 trillion economy, things will have to come back, but they're not going to look the same as what it was in the past when we emerge out of it.
And Amitji, what are the other sectors? Are you seeing a slowdown? I mean, in the world of banking, you see a lot more than just auto. Clearly, you're hearing from the auto industry there is something.
Right.
Right? What about other sectors?
So just let me just spend a minute in terms of talking about the banking sector per se. In banking, people think that, again, they are going through tough times, whether it's a PSU banks, private banks, or NBFCs, or any other finance sector. But what we need to understand here is that in the last 2 decades, once the private sector banks came in and they started getting the share of market from the PSU sector, and today, as we speak, the private sector banks put together accounts for almost 30% of the total funding which the banking sector does to the entire country. Now, there are structural changes which are taking place in the finance sector, and that is precisely the reasons why the banking industry per se is getting transformed. And therefore, the need of the hour for the PSU banks also is to consolidate, bring them bigger, larger, with a healthy balance sheet, pumping them the capital inside in those companies. And so is the private sector banks, where they are also looking at how do you evaluate, because there are disruptions which are taking place. There are fintechs which are coming in. So one needs to look at some of those things and see how things will unfold 10 years, 20 years down the line. So that is what the changes which are taking place in the banking sector. These are structural changes. These changes the industry itself will evaluate and will grow faster and will keep up with the pace of the growth of GDP, which will happen. As far as these other sectors are concerned, where we see a slowdown, it is the infra, the real estate side. Auto is anyway, a lot of challenges are there. Telecom, there are a lot of challenges are there. But again, all these industry power is, you see challenges across various industries, but each of these industries, some transformations, some structural changes which are happening, and therefore they are going through this phase. Whether this phase is going to last long, or will these problems not solvable? To my mind, each of these problems what we have can be solved. Is the government taking enough steps? Yeah, the government is making all efforts, trying to understand each of the industry-specific problems and trying to find solutions to them.
Certain types of machinery companies have been doing very well. Defense has been doing very well. Certain tech companies in India have been doing exceptionally well. Health has been doing pretty well. So there are sectors that are also doing well, right? So the reason I say this in context is, obviously if it's a sector that's doing well, they must be buying the used material that you're having, right, downstream. So you've got now the perspective, clearly autos going trouble. You didn't need to come here to NIQR at this session to have that. So you all want to understand what are the steps you could take to get out of where you are, or how do you future-proof yourself. So let's perhaps take that as a next step. And Rajshekhar, I mean, you work in this sector. You're knee deep in it. You do it blood guts every day. So perhaps if you could share your 5 action points.
I would start first. The first thing what we have to do is to create a positive mindset, positive thinking. But the first positive thinking will make you fit. How? Naturally, positive thinking comes out of a fit person. So make yourself fit, be ready for a tough day's work for all the CEOs. That's the point number 1. Point number 2, Mr. Raju touched upon. Remove all the fat in your organization. Remove all the waste. There are great opportunities to remove the waste. I suggest all the CEOs to get to the shop floor, Gemba. You go there. You also try to remove all the muda. These are 2 things. Second point. Point number 3, we have one most important resource in our organizations, the production machinery, which has to be put to maximum use. So improve productivity. Concentrate on your OEEs. Suppose if you are a manufacturing unit, please focus on your OEEs. Do Pareto on the low OEEs. Try to improve it to a sustainable level which helps you to overcome these difficult times by improving productivity. Fourth point I would say is about financial management. Most of us, we don't look at our working capitals. We divert funds, which is actually taken for the primary purpose. So this needs to be definitely improved. So what we have started as an example in my organization is doing a daily P&L. So at the end of the day, like banks, we also see what we have achieved for the day. Sometimes you feel bad, sometimes you are into negative for the day, and sometimes you are on the positive side. This has really helped me to motivate my people with the positive bottom line in the difficult times. So what they do is, everybody is focused on this kind of from the bottom line, we move to the top line. So this was introduced by me. Let me recall. So the 5th, I would say, is to distribute your risk. This is one thing we don't do. Slowly as MSMEs, we try to get wedded with some OEM or any of your, the important market player. So this is the time every MSME owner or a CEO or a MD should look at distributing the risk. Maybe not that you go to 10 people. You also have risk distributed over various verticals, also among your same vertical customers.
You need to find ways how you can be nimble-footed, how you can ramp up and ramp down. Okay, so that is where you should focus your energy, and that's very, very important point, because see, we thought in the year beginning that there will be a lot of pre-buy because of the BS6 introduction. Okay, that didn't happen. Okay, now we are expecting in Jan-Feb there will be a lot of pre-buy. That means there will be a lot of ramp-up required. Now we are preparing our supply chain from now onwards that you tend to prepare yourselves to ramp up. Don't lose the opportunity. Otherwise you lose the opportunity. Number 2 is, don't only depend on us. That's very, very important. Okay, if you put all, like Mr. Ashayan said, don't concentrate your risk. Okay, now is the time that you should look for de-risking your operations to other industry, like tractor, which is relatively doing good. Okay, and so these are the 2 points which we are telling our supply chain, apart from what Mr. Ashayan already said. I don't want to repeat those points. Right.
Perhaps talk to the friends in the export. Is this an opportunity for some of our local suppliers to look at exporting? Is this an opportunity to talk to folks like you to perhaps be part of a supply chain that's bigger? Is this a chance? I mean, Sanjay? Raju?
See, we have a slightly different perspective and approach on this slow turn. we are looking at this phase as an opportunity for a rapid expansion.
So consolidation, you'd look at
Yes.
buying some of these guys.
Buying is one thing, but within, I mean, say even organic business, there is a lot of opportunity which has built up, has presented itself with this dispute between China, America. Now, everything which is being exported, at least in the auto space, has 25% tariff to US. US has imposed a 25% and vice versa. So obviously it has opened a big window of opportunity. So as a matter of fact, we are doing very, very aggressive expansion in our own company in this phase. And plus, with the domestic demand being a little bit slow, we have resources free to do that expansion and, acquire new business.
Yep.
And, you'll always see that whenever this phase comes of slowdown, the cost of putting additional capacity also goes down. Today, what you are able to buy capital equipment, or what you were able to buy 3 years back or 2 years back, there is at least 10 to 15% reduction, because they have excess capital equipment lying around and they want to sell at lower margins.
So this called as a little bit Gopi has touched upon, it is called CASE and MAS. CASE is connected, autonomous, and we have share, electrification. So since Gopi has touched upon it, I'm not repeating that. CASE is an opportunity. MAS is another opportunity. Yeah, MAS is mobility as a service. Yeah, it's an opportunity for us. We need to work on these two. Why we need to work? As CASE and MAS happens, that means I'm not going to use my own car, but I will service through my mobile and use the car. Currently, can you tell us what is the usage of a car in 24 hours? Any guess on this? I own a car. How many hours I run on a road? What is the percentage of utilization of the car? Sorry? No, percentage you can take. Can you tell me in percentage? 1 in 24 hours. Huh? Okay, it's just 5%. It's 5% what we are using. Now what automotive is doing is, how do I utilize 5% into maybe 10%, 20%, 30%? That's where mobility is coming up. Huh? That's where CASE is coming up. So if I can double it, that means I take my car to my office, I park it, but the car is free for me. The car can go automatically to somebody to the airport, pick up somebody, drop somewhere else in the Paris corner, come back to airport, pick up somebody else, drop in Kodambakkam, pick up the car and then go somewhere else, go to Adyar and then drop. The car will continuously run. Why we need to keep it idle? Huh? We should utilize the resources. So what these car companies are doing, they want to becoming manufacturing to service, because they love Apple. You know what Apple is doing? Apple doesn't sell instrument. Apple sells the service. You want listen to a song, you have to pay. You want to watch a movie, you have to pay. You want to do XYZ, you have to pay. Same thing what Ford is doing or many automotives is doing. I don't want to become manufacturer, I want to do service because a lot of money is there. So how do I make it to service? So they want to do mobility. So they want to do connection, okay? They want to move. You don't need to do anything in your home. You just switch on your mobile app, and then they will come. You want ride sharing with 2 people, or you want to go with family, or you want to be environmental friendly. So I want to use an electrical scooter. I want to use a cycle. So they connect from your house to a nearest metro, and metro takes you, drop somewhere else, and the last mile connectivity is there with somebody else with the mobility. They're readily available at the station. When you get dropped, he will connect you there. So whole system is changing. So Toyota is changing. Yeah, we need to change. So if Toyota is changing, what Toyota is doing, so they cannot invest with the CASE and MAS. They cannot fight alone.
So how many of you have exports? You heard here, expand that, because some of those companies, this is a bigger opportunity. moving from China to India, I think is real. We're seeing that in electronics. Clearly, I think we're seeing many other folks who are de-risking their supply chains around country macro risk. How many of you sell to anything beyond the auto industry? Nobody. There are about 4 of you. I think look around you and maybe this is the opportunity you should look at. How can I sell to another industry so that I'm not just looking at a single industry risk? I use the down cycle to reduce the cost of my capital, right? So I'll actually come down there before we open it out to the audience. Capital is tough. Who agrees with me from the audience? Who has a problem with capital? Only 10% of you. Huh? Everybody has a capital problem, right? It's either working capital or it's capital for growth, right? And the reason I'm bringing this up is this is the best time, bar none, for capital for growth.
Bankers, as long as it's a bankable proposal, no bank will say no to any industry, any company, any time during the economy, as long as it is bankable. Now, when I say it is a bankable proposal, means yes, I need to see whether when I'm lending money, whether it is being used for the purpose for which I have given this money, whether that money would come back, whether it has adequate security which is there. So all these are some of these factors which a banker would look at, and as long as the proposal is bankable, bankers will support, because we are in the business of lending money, and you cannot say, barring the PCA banks, barring the banks which are under PCA of Reserve Bank of India, who are not allowed to do fresh lending, barring them, rest of the banks, you have to do, especially in MSME sector. What I look at is, today in most of the balance sheets, there are about more than 1 lakh of crore which is stuck, MSME money is stuck with some large corporate, with some PSUs, with some other institutions. Now, if these monies are recovered in a timely manner, will they ease out the lot of liquidity pressure which some of these MSME are facing? Are there various ways in which these can be done? The answer is yes. How? Lot of fintech companies are now coming with a platform where, suppose you are supplying to Ashok Leylands, or you are supplying to Marutis, or you are supplying, you may be rated BB or whatever, non-investment grade or lesser investment grade, but your receivables are from the well-rated clients. Is there a way, without going to your banking partner or towards bank, can I get this money faster? Yes, there are platforms.
It's not that they are not aware of this BS4 to BS6, and it's not that the government has put in a strict order just overnight or something. Why is this the auto OEMs? According to me, I think it's all a self-inflicted injury on our own health of the industry. I think we're all talking about just-in-time. We're all talking about absolutely no inventory levels. And today you read in papers you have close to 50,000 crores worth of automobiles not sold in the country. I think it's all completely, something is wrong somewhere in this whole script. I think the OEMs were trying to have too much of hope of the government for trying to sell something which is obsolete. BS4 is obsolete now. Let's not go to the government for asking for discounts and also some of the comments you made about GST. See, GST is completely a path-changing decision in the country. Today, MSMEs, I will tell you, have given the OEMs like Leyland, Lucas, whoever it is, a huge amount of cash flow. Because my excise duty and VAT, when we were in the excise regime, we were at 18%. Today, we are paying you 28%. So, we are giving you 10% more, and 70% of your input cost is from MSMEs like us. So, in fact, your working capital has actually come down on our behalf. So, these are some of the things. I mean, just a small.
The GST, okay. See, the GST is not because of the money, okay. The turnaround time of the truck, okay. Earlier, in the pre-GST era, okay, the truck from Delhi to Chennai, it takes about 12 days to cross all the tolls, all the RTOs, everything. Okay. Today, it only takes 5 days and goes back in 5 days. Okay, so that is cutting down the capacity. Okay, efficiency has improved, and it is the global experience. That's what I told. Every country which introduced GST, they realized that there will be 1% or 1.5% down in the GDP in the next 2 years. Okay, that is what is happening to India also. Okay. See, when Europe migrated from BS4 to BS6, they took 10 years. Okay.
No, sir, that may have been then. If you look at Moore's
Today,
law, it's out of date
we have
today.
only 3 years' time.
No, so I was talking to Professor Mohan B. Sani, who sits on the board of Geo, and he was saying that the half-life 20 years ago for technology used to be 3 years, right? Not even 3 years, maybe about a bit longer. It then, about a year ago, it looked like 3 months. Today, it is 1 month and something days. And this is felt in the mobile industry because that's every basically 3 to 6 months, your core technology is changing.
See, there is a general perception that GST is bad. But if you see both of us, we are in the auto component sector. We never feel like that. Because earlier we had a lot of trouble with multiple agencies coming to our premises and managing. Today we have single agency, and that too, if you are with a central agency, you are better off. So that's what, the GST I'm talking about. The person, only one person we are dealing with, it's GST. And there is this perception is being pushed by the other segment, which is unorganized sector, or the people who are not part of the structure earlier. So they are now pushed to come into the structured environment. So they are the ones who are creating this scene, like GST has created trouble to us and all that.
So India, if you get it right, if we get it right because we work with each other, can be the industry that changes a lot of the world, and we can be profitable out of it. Why not? We can be 10 times the size we are today. So I think embrace NIQR. If you're not a member, please join. It's a great organization. I think we should get more participants from others, and I think under great leadership of many of the folks here, we've seen this organization grow. It's strengthened. It will strengthen beyond your industry. I think we're trying to help you with some programs, but more than anything, learn from your friends. Learn best practices so that you can share and become better tomorrow. So if your customer wants X, perhaps you don't have the capability, you can borrow Y. Leverage that. I think with that, we would like to call this session a close.